This is iFIBER 1 News. Here are today's top stories.
A judge found a man not guilty of fatally shooting an innocent bystander outside a Moses Lake bar in 2016. An appeals court upheld murder and assault convictions for a man who fatally shot 22-year-old Christian Guerra in Moses Lake in 2015.
Leaving an animal in a car becomes more life-threatening with temperatures climbing daily.
Later for the high school alumna Jada Harmon may not be with us anymore, but her memory will always remain.
From the iFIBER 1 newsroom, this is iFIBER 1 News. And it starts now.
A judge found a man not guilty of fatally shooting an innocent bystander outside a Moses Lake bar in 2016. Judge John Nodell found Ishmael Ortiz not guilty of murder in the first degree and unlawful possession of a firearm following a 6-day bench trial. 68-year-old Robert Cook was shot and killed as he drove away from then Nepal's Dockside Pub on West Broadway Avenue the night of June 5, 2016. Ortiz and Jose Rodriguez, who previously pleaded guilty to tampering with a witness, were at the bar and began fighting with Lauren Mead. All three were eventually kicked out of the bar, with Mead leaving first, who then returned to his car and fired a gun before fleeing. Cook and a female companion had gotten into his pickup truck and began heading west on Broadway when additional shots were fired, with one hitting Cook in the back of the head. Nodell said police failed to identify any gun that was fired that night and no gun was ever recovered. Prosecutors argued Ortiz and Rodriguez had motive to fire at Mead following the bar fight and because they were rival gang members. Nodell said the state's case relied heavily on testimony of one witness who was on the sidewalk near the shooting. Shortly after, he gave police a general description of the shooter that in some ways matched Ortiz's physical description. Nodell added there were also inconsistencies in the witness testimony in connection to how many people were seen fleeing the scene. Ortiz was also facing a lesser charge of manslaughter, in which the state argued Ortiz was responsible for the acts of any person responsible for killing Cook. But Nodell disagreed, ruling he could not find beyond a reasonable doubt that Ortiz fired the fatal shot or committed any act that caused his death. This is Joe Utter for iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by...
Change doesn't have to be complicated. With a low-profile microwave hood combination that's ready to install right out of the box. It fits in the same space as your under-cabinet hood, so you can get your microwave off the countertop and make space for the routines worth keeping. The low-profile microwave hood combination from the #1 selling appliance brand in the USA.
Whirlpool Appliances, now available at more furniture in Ephrata.
An appeals court upheld murder and assault convictions for a man who fatally shot 22-year-old Christian Guerra in Moses Lake in 2015. Jason Williams was sentenced to 40 years in prison after being found guilty of murder in the second degree and 3 counts of assault in the first degree in the January 18, 2015 shooting. Williams and his wife, Martha Mejia, were in a GMC Yukon in the Jack in the Box drive-thru when Mejia almost backed into a 2010 Ford Fusion where Guerra was a passenger. The driver of the Ford honked at Mejia, who then got out of her SUV and began arguing with the driver. Guerra got out of his car and tried to calm Mejia when Williams also got out and began fighting with the victim. Everyone returned to their vehicles, but Mejia and Williams got back out and began fighting with the victims again. Williams then walked back to the SUV and returned with a gun, shooting Guerra twice and also striking the victim's car. Williams appealed his convictions, arguing the court erred in giving an instruction to jurors that revenge did not constitute self-defense. Williams also argued the prosecutor's office erred in closing arguments by challenging the jury to articulate any reasonable doubt it might be entertaining. Prosecutors later agreed to the error, but the appeals court ruled the statement did not impact the fairness of the trial. This is Joe Utter for iFIBER 1 News.
This segment is brought to you by...
Your taste buds bored? Well, then bring them to Jay's Teriyaki. Not only does Jay's have a variety of teriyaki dishes, they also offer mouth-watering salads and sides. Call Jay's 509-764-5155. Jay's Teriyaki, located at 123 East Broadway in Moses Lake, because it's all in the sauce.
Leaving an animal in a car becomes more life-threatening with temperatures climbing daily. On a 78-degree day, the temperature inside a parked car can soar to 100 degrees in just minutes, according to PETA. If you come across a dog in a car during the hotter months that are quickly approaching, however, citizens don't have the right to break a window. If they do decide to break that window, they could be charged with malicious mischief and even be taken to small claims court. What someone should do is call the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society Animal Care and Control or local government agencies such as police.
don't leave your animal in a hot car. Dog, cat, rabbit, whatever it is, don't leave it in the hot car. They get hot really fast because it's a little greenhouse. Leave your animals at home and take care of them the way they should be so it's safe. They can die, they can get heat stroke, they can get brain damage. A lot of bad things can happen. We do. We get a lot of calls regarding the animals left in hot cars. A lot of times it's not an issue, but sometimes it is, and we take appropriate action immediately to try to help the animal and help animal control.
Don Davies, executive director of the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society, told KPQ some of the signs to look for before picking up the phone. If the animal doesn't have water, if the car isn't adequately ventilated, if they're not breathing or breathing too heavily, and if they're acting either very frantic or very lethargic, she says, definitely pick up the phone. Leaving an animal in the car can be deadly and lead to a Class 2 civil infraction or even animal cruelty felony conviction. I'm Madison Meyer with iFIBER 1 News.
Late Ephrata High School alumna Jada Harmon may not be with us anymore, but her memory will always remain thanks to plans to install a memorial bench in her honor. Grant County officials confirmed that plans to put the bench on Ephrata High School grounds have already been put in motion. Several members of the community have shown their love for her and her family by donating to pay for the memorial. The location of the bench will be decided on this Friday, and the installment of the bench does not yet have a date. iFIBER 1 News will release more information as it becomes available. I'm Adam Chikoski for iFIBER 1 Sports.
This is iFIBER 1 News. For more information on these stories and other news, visit us online at ifiber1.com or check us out on Facebook.